Hello and welcome into the SorareData Strategy Show. I am Andrew Laird. Man, I meant the SorareData Show. I heard the music and I just immediately started saying the Strategy Show.
Is this the lead-in for everyone or just when I'm on?
Just when you're on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to start over because it just seems so weird to just totally mess it up. So, and I don't even remember how I start now. I didn't hear the music. Anyway, thanks everyone for coming in. This is a SorareData Show. Somebody mentioned that I forgot to keep numbering the shows. I'm actually going to just stop doing that. It makes no sense whatsoever. But I was going to mention that the two of you have SorareData, and frankly, it's your Twitter handles and everywhere else that you are. But you have Sorare usernames. I don't even know what you call them. That are based off of the schools that you went to.
Ooh, good call.
And ZM Star said Sean's intro picture looks like his first day being on a college campus, which works perfectly.
Was it? I actually am genuinely curious.
Was it the one which one did you use? Was it the wedding?
You're looking pretty fabulous.
No, if I was looking fabulous, it definitely wasn't a college photo because I'll send both of you guys a photo of me. I think I still have my college ID in my wallet. 1 second. And you
said you should have to wear the same shirt, which I imagine that's the last time, probably the only time you've ever worn that shirt.
Well, actually, so I have a gripe, right? By back in the day, I used to wear Crocs before they were cool and got made fun of.
Totally makes sense
for wearing Crocs.
Totally see Sean as a Crocs guy.
Realistically, though, I'm pretty sure I started the Croc trend. I was just years ahead. And that's what happens. So let me see if I can get this. All right, so here we go.
I fully believe that you believe
that. What is that? Could you even grow that much hair anymore, Sean?
No shot. It's very sad, actually. I used to love my hair. My hair was great. I used to have a big mop on my head at all times. Actually, I can't find this photo either, but it was ridiculous. So we wanted to play poker one night. All the guys wanted to play poker, and the friends that were females were absolutely not. That's not happening. Somehow it came up that we were could play poker, and they would not complain at all, and they would just sit there and hang out if they could straighten my hair while we were playing poker. So I'm yeah, that's fine because I wanted to play poker. It looked so ridiculous. It was absurd. Yeah,
I bet.
Anyways,
that should be your Rivals picture.
Could be. Mike says, surely Sean's college photo is black and white. Do I look like Laird, sir? That photo is in black and white.
We didn't even have IDs.
Laird can verify that I only wear Crocs anytime I've ever seen him.
For sure, yeah.
I think I wore shoes the one day because my feet hurt, so I wore shoes.
Is it ironic that the Gator guy has never worn a Croc in his life?
You're the dude that probably wears sandals with the prong in the middle of your toes that are uncomfortable.
Yeah, I have them on right now.
That 100% would be you.
And the reefs and the just in case you forget your beer can opener, you just
the can over on the bottom, or bottle opener. Yeah, I'm on Team Reef too. There, Keith. Don't feel bad about this. Anyway,
I don't. Yeah. Back to Rivals, baby.
Yeah, we're here to talk about Rivals. There are a bunch of things that I wanted to discuss. The biggest reason I wanted to discuss this specifically with these two guys is it feels like there's a lot of correlation between success in daily fantasy. I'll call it football here. We've always called it daily fantasy soccer here in the States, and how you build lineups for Rivals. We will get into that. We are not going to start with that because Sean wanted me to start with having everyone in chat guess who I believe his words were, who amongst the three of us was the negative Nancy about Rivals. And we'll get into that as well. But if anybody wants to take some time. But Sean, I kind of hinted on Twitter that there are some fairly big flaws in the way that Rivals has been working so far. And I think that's what we need to get into first, because I want to believe that there are people from Sorare who watch these or listen to them, and this is kind of the best place we have for feedback. We couldn't give this feedback during the beta because A, it didn't really apply, and B, Sean didn't even play.
Nope.
But honestly, essentially what happened in the beta doesn't seem to be what's happening in the live right now. So Sean, can you at least explain to everybody what the single biggest flaw about Rivals is right now?
So the current biggest flaw, and we're gonna get into this too. There's ways to handle it, because I know I'm gonna say this and we're gonna get he only cares because of whales, yada yada yada, and that's not the case. So the biggest current flaw in Rivals is that, from our viewpoint, we're pretty confident this is correct at this point. And also, I will also preface this by saying, and this is a layered take, that we don't know what's going on. We have no idea what's going to happen in like 3 weeks when people are a lot higher up leaderboards, which is true. All we can go off of is the info we have currently so far going through things. So the biggest flaw currently is that it appears if you play a full common lineup, you can only play other full common lineups. Confirmed. As soon as you play one pro card, one limited, you could play anybody that plays pro cards. So the current situation is that if you have pro cards, you have to pick and choose which matches you play, because if you only have one pro card and you have a limited of a player, well, you realistically can't play that player, or you're just going to be at a massive disadvantage. And you can't just play them in common because you don't have that option. So currently, and this is the biggest issue that is currently the case right now, if you look at the top of the leaderboard on Sorare for the Rivals game mode.
This is it right here.
Yeah. Immo Dopole, as of the other day, and I don't know if this has changed, he has a grand total of 0 cards. 0. And then Nacho Harris is in second. He is playing with 0 cards. He has cards, but he's only playing matches where he does not have to use cards. And the reason
is that right?
What?
Is that right? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, click on him and then go look at his matches. Click on him and then go look at like the matches. Go to like Rivals history and you can like click on the match. Also, the UI is really terrible, unfortunately. Click on match history at the top layer. The UI is just not good. So these are all the lineups that he's running. So currently, the biggest issue that exists with the Rivals game mode, which, by the way, in case you guys had not guessed yet, Laird is the Debbie Downer, Negative Nancy. Keith and I are both gung-ho and enjoy Rivals. Laird says that we just do not understand what he is saying, which we'll get into later. But so currently, the current issue is they are disincentivizing people to own cards, because if you own cards, you have to pick and choose the games that you can play based on the cards you own per se. Whereas if you're playing commons, you can just play your commons, play the best lineups, and run whatever the optimal lineup is for that game. You don't have to worry about it. Whereas if you own player cards, you realistically cannot play certain matches because you're just going to be at a big disadvantage, or you could be at a big disadvantage. So I'll give the one anecdote and then I'll kick it back over to you, Laird. Our good buddy Scosmo has just messaged me before the show because we were talking about something. He has a Loriente unique. He told me, he's like, the fact that I've just run a full Juve lineup in this game of Rivals because I don't want to have to play my unique, because then I will be matched up with pro cards. Whereas if I don't, I'm matched up with all commons, is really stupid. That's basically what he told me.
What am I negative on again?
Rivals game mode.
Hold on. Wait, I think he's negative. I think where Sean takes Laird's negativity is that Sean may have a 1% belief that he's going to win a unique someday on Rivals.
No, I just believe I can win something.
Star rare.
Basically, I think I can win something down the road. We'll talk about that too, because that is a big component of the Rivals game mode. Basically, so I'm using the info that we have and using things with that info. Laird is using things as if we don't know what's going to happen. Who knows, everyone? This sucks.
What part of what we know now indicates that you will be able to win a star rare at any moment?
I mean, the fact that the loot boxes are moving upwards, the fact that Nicholas has tweeted out, I'm going to have surprises for you. And I didn't even say star rare.
So
I
nothing.
said win things of value. You asked if I thought that maybe down the road we could win a star rare. I think it's possible. I think the way that this game goes, if the game mode is actually, again, we'll talk about this because it's a big component. The actual rewards and like what they give with it is a component of this.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll get into it. But basically a few people have been talking about this or not realizing it. This whole thing of if you use a pro card, you will be matched up against somebody with a pro card. And so if you just play commons, you will be matched up with somebody who just plays commons. And then it's just who can make a better lineup. And the three of us think we can make better lineups than other people. And so it literally disincentivizes us to buy cards.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you get to the screen where you have your 5 common lineup and they're like, would you like to upgrade for one of your, and we're like, absolutely not. Because then all of a sudden I can be matched up against somebody with 5 super rares or whatever it is. And so fundamentally, in order to climb this leaderboard as fast as possible, you should not buy cards. And that is a gigantic flaw in the game if the point is for people to buy cards. If the point is not to buy cards, you're actually making it so that you do not want to buy cards. Not like, yeah, I guess I'll buy one. It's literally you are making your win probability lower by buying a card.
Now, the only caveat is if you're a sick degenerate like PSU Fans 2 over here, we can pull up his gallery and see all the cards that Rivals has made him buy.
But that's how it should work. That is how it should work.
I agree. But you're on here talking about, I'm just going to match comments. Then you scroll through your gallery. It's like 3 straight lines of Rivals buys. And I love it.
I don't know. I played 2 Rivals games today with all commons, took some easy victories. So Limpy just asked, how do we know this theory?
We don't. We tested it. We tested it all weekend.
We look at how things are going, Limpy, and I can compare a lot of things and look through a lot of different matchups and talk to a lot of different people. We actually had a different theory working early Saturday. I had a different theory. Keith and I are enjoying Rivals. Like, we both are enjoying it, so we've talked about it quite a bit. We had a different theory on Saturday. Yeah, Laird's just been like, this is dumb. You can't win anything.
Laird's actually also farther along on the streaks than either of us are. So.
No, I'm not. I'm only like midway through 5, Keith.
Oh, you are? Okay. Yeah. All right. Take it back.
So you've won 3? Is that 3?
No, I keep getting a 2. No. I keep getting a 2 and losing.
No, yeah. I've got 3. I'm on 2 on my way to 5 right now, Laird.
Okay.
Nanzo said surely common sense will prevail and they will match people based on ELO. They are matching people based on ELO. Go ahead.
I don't think we actually know that either.
No, we probably, everyone that I'm playing for the most part is in a pretty comparable ELO number to where I'm at.
So the point that I kind of have been bringing up is that we don't know. And part of this is maybe Sorare doesn't want us to know, but we don't know if your leaderboard points are a direct indication of your ELO. Is it ELO or ELO? I've always said ELO.
Anyway. I have no idea.
Yeah, Laird, your level is literally what your ELO is. The higher you are, that's how it's based.
So we think that.
I mean, it's pretty apparent that is the case.
Again, we think it. Who knows? But anyway.
That is an issue. That is an issue that we don't. Most games that have ELO, like video games that have ELO, you have an idea how it works. We do not necessarily have an idea how this works because maybe 3 weeks down the line, there's you only have common cards that you're just kind of screwed and you can't go up. But we have no indication that's going to be the case, so we can only go off the info we have. Like currently, the way that the ELO works is if you are playing common only, you will play someone else on your ELO in common only. If you play with any pro card at all, you will play someone else on your ELO with pro cards. So I will...
Regardless of what cards they're playing.
Regardless of what cards, what number cards, how fair it is, how unfair it is. So I had one yesterday. I sent Keith the photos, the PSG game. I had like a limited, a rare, and a super rare versus...
It was a full 5 pro lineup, though, right?
My lineup was 5 pro. My opponent's lineup had 1 limited card in it.
Yeah,
and
4 commons.
So I think, in my opinion, how to fix this simply is to have 2 leaderboards, or possibly more, which I'll go into. You have to have a ELO leaderboard that is for common only, and then you have a leaderboard for pro only. But actually, so the issue with that is like the pro leaderboard, like if you have a limited card, we'll just use this as numbers because it's the best way to explain it. You get 20% bonus on one limited card. So the minimum bonus you can have is 20%. So like we'll call it 20%. With your 20% bonus, you in theory could play someone with 150% bonus. And obviously that's incredibly unfair. The matchups are going to be incredibly lopsided. You just really have no shot. I think that they could do segmented leaderboards instead and have like, let's say a 20 to 50, a 50 to 100, 100 plus leaderboards. And then obviously like based on what leaderboard you're trying to accomplish and move through, the prizes are better. So obviously the prizes are better at the higher leaderboards where because you have more cards. Like the people, if you have bought 0 cards and you have not put $1 onto the platform and you have no intentions of, you should probably not be the person competing for whatever the best prizes are long term, which Laird's going to come in and say, who knows what they're going to get prizes? They probably won't get anything. That's what he's going to go with. So go ahead, Laird.
What are the prizes?
I don't know. I saw someone win a mystery jersey yesterday. I saw some tier 3 limiteds. I saw tier 0 limiteds being possible, Laird. I don't know.
So there was a question earlier, and Sean, and frankly, this applies to both of you. Where was it here? I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. Oh, Blue Tomatoes. Why did you start playing now?
Because I think that they will give rewards. I have but this goes for a lot of people, and it's not just me. Keith, how much of the beta did you play?
More at the beginning, and as soon as I got the ELO too high and ran into like 5 pro cards every single time, I'm like, well, this is stupid.
Yeah, but why did you stop playing also?
Honestly, I just was tired of losing. I'm a really sore loser.
Okay, well, yeah, and also because you weren't getting anything, correct?
No, honestly, if like on the beta, if I would have known the common thing, I probably enough of a sicko that I would have kept playing even without.
You would just play. You'd play occasionally when it worked for your schedule. You wouldn't have been sitting at a house you're trying to sell, figuring out lineups and breaking down a Molly team.
Definitely would be doing that.
Okay, Laird sure shit wouldn't be.
What would I be doing?
I said you sure shit wouldn't be sitting there playing.
No, Laird is in the stands of a game during a timeout, and he would definitely be doing it.
No.
Yeah, I definitely could see it.
So, anyways, one of the big question marks with this game, and let me put it this way: I really like this game mode. I'm enjoying it a lot. There's strategy to it with the tactics. Why'd they pick one contest? I don't really understand why they picked that one. I feel like you could pick other ones that were better suited, but there's strategy.
Anybody knew what it was?
What?
Just something that people know what it is.
Yeah, like I had to look. Well, because it's also duels. Like if you win a one contest, you win a duel. So it's like, why is this on here? So, anyways, I think that is fun. There's the strategy part of it with making subs. That's fun. You just can pick and choose which games you want to watch. If you're going to watch a game on TV, you can play that game for Rivals. Wait till the lives come out. You don't get DNPs, which is the least fun part of Sorare. And it's just a pretty appealing way to like watch that one game possibly.
Can we address Nanzo's at 319 real quick? So like the way we perceive this, Nanzo, is
just for anybody who's listening. Okay. Nanzo said, if I'm unable to smash common-only users next to me at the top of the leaderboard with my pro cards, it's not based on ELO.
But what we've kind of seen is it really depends on each game. Because like somebody was asking me, I call it almost like there's 2 arenas. There's the common arena, and then there is the pro arena. The moment you play a pro card, you enter the pro arena. But to Nanzo's point, it's kind of effed up because now the leaderboard converges, and it's everybody at the same time. So Nanzo, Nanzo, I love you, but you're freaking nuts with all the games that you play on the beta and everything, and I love every minute of it. But Nanzo's playing everything, and he's doing all this stuff, and he's getting killed by people on the leaderboard with all commons because they can play every game.
Yeah. Well, he can't, and
that's the issue.
He can't play him. So, and Nanzo, I disagree with you. It is based on ELO. It's just there's 2 separate ELOs.
It's like the 2 arenas. I like that theory.
There's 2 leaderboards. It's just combined into one leaderboard. So there's a common elo.
No, it's not leaderboard. No, it's 2 arenas. Like
Yeah.
you compete in 2 different places, but then all the results converge onto one place on the leaderboard.
Yeah,
That's
the
problem.
leaderboard. That's what I'm using.
It needs to be 2 leaderboards, like you said.
Correct. There needs to be 2 leaderboards. Also, Keith, unfortunately, Percy Tau missed a penalty.
I know, I already saw it. If you look at the play black, I cursed. Like,
oh, do you?
With
Okay.
mute on. Yeah, and he missed the top. I swapped him at like 258 for Koita, and I'm like, listen, Sean, like from what I can see, I think Tau is their best player.
Yeah, he's still ahead of Koita, to be fair.
But hey, what we're saying about the game mode, when else am I like carrying that Percy Tau missed a PK?
Like I wouldn't have even paid any attention to this game whatsoever.
No attention at all. Yeah.
So so like they need to break the leaderboards into 2 separate things or more than 2 separate things. I think both of those are fine. And then I do think they need to figure out what the rewards are going to end up being long term. Again, I don't think they need to. You don't need to give me like a star unique or anything, but like you do have to give rewards in this game mode for people to care long term. And those rewards can't just be tied to a loot box. It has to be tied to like you finished X number on the you can get a loot box, but like it has to be like you finished in the top 10 on the leaderboard, you get 5 loot boxes. This is what's in the loot boxes, whatever. But like you actually have to give rewards to like leaderboard stuff. If you eventually, if this let's say this plays out, we're 2 months down the road, right? And they're not giving anything to leaderboards for finishing high up the leaderboards. A lot of people will lose interest in this game mode and not really care that much. And that's just how it likely would be. So like they have to take advantage of the buzz, because it's getting buzz. Like a lot of people are playing this. Like there's a lot of people playing a lot of different games in this. It's creating a lot of activity. A lot of people are buying cards off the marketplace. I'm doing it. Limiteds right now, like, but I would buy other cards. Like if I'm incentivized to buy rares or super rares, I would. And I think other people would too. Nanzo, if Nanzo's still here, would you buy like super rares and like uniques if it was warranted for you to advance and like win actual prizes in this game mode?
Do you think that the reason they don't have separate leaderboards is once you get to a point where like if this person starts playing, buying pro cards, that theoretically the elo is a measure of how good they are at the game, and therefore they should be matched up with other people who have high elos, because it's like, oh no, you're very good versus somebody who's very good, as opposed to somebody who has 5 super rares in their lineup and you're 1 limited.
Well, that's why I like the idea of segmenting the leaderboard further than just one break. I think if you broke it to like, let's say you have up to 50 and like up to 50 is like 2 limiteds or a limited and a rare, then do up to 100, which could be 5 limiteds or 4 rares or like a couple super rares, a couple rares, something like that. If you segment the leaderboard into like, let's say instead of going to 2, which we're talking about, you go to 4 or 5 leaderboards. And like, for example, you can play upwards. So like if you want to play upwards to the higher leaderboards, you can, you just know you might be at a disadvantage. But yeah, like it would be like sort of like divisions where like division 1 would be 120 points and more in terms of like your percentages that you get bonuses, and then like 60 to 120 and then 0 to 60, something like that.
So my other question is based on kind of what you are expecting out of the game, that it felt like Sorare have been talking about Rivals as like this is how they're going to onboard new users. What about what they've done with Rivals makes you think that they want it to be a game for you, who's been here forever and already owns a lot of cards?
Well, the issue is, I guess, like, all right, so you're going to get people on from Rivals, and there's absolutely no incentive for them to buy cards. So what's the point of that?
That's a totally different subject.
But it's not. So Ben, I want to talk about these quick. So Ben said that he agrees with Charlie. In his experience, I don't really care about the leaderboard. I care about streaks until they announce leaderboard rewards. Yeah, you care about the rewards. You don't care about streaks or the leaderboard. You care about whichever is getting rewards. Like, think about it when it goes to like, you need to have a 25 streak to get a loot box. You're not going to give a shit because you're not going to hit it. And if they have leaderboard prize, okay, you're not going to hit it very free. A 25 game, you can get to 3. You can't even get to 3.
Sean, sometimes you just have to get past that first hurdle, and then
Jonathan says, why can't Rivals just be for fun? I'm having a blast playing versus my mates without rewards. If you want rewards, just play pro. The issue is I think a lot of people are not going to enjoy this long term if they're not getting anything. You might play your friends occasionally, but then eventually you're going to be like siphoned out to where you just aren't going to care anymore.
So Jeremy and Manzo had a little sidebar about that. Kind of mentioned that like it's actually kind of probably good that they don't just influx a ton of rewards at the beginning. Like let's let the fun and let the kinks come out. Yeah. And then maybe you do it down the road. Like I like that take a lot. Like let the streaks be kind of your rewards or whatever, like whatever carrots that needs to be while they kind of figure out the kinks. They figure out hopefully the UI kinks, the what we're bringing up right now. They kind of work all that out. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but and then Jeremy says the FPL disagrees. But the issue is Sorare is not the FPL. Sorare is not making money by people not buying any cards and playing a free-to-play game.
Well, and I think the reality too is FPL is once a week. I haven't played FPL once a week, sometimes twice a week, and this is literally like potentially you're doing 5 games a day, right?
Well, the issue too
that's a big difference in time.
Like the issue with FPL too is like I say this as nicely as possible. FPL is like the outdated game that was like 30 years ago people played, and just some people still play it. Like it's the same people that play like season-long fantasy basketball, roto style.
Or baseball,
or baseball. It's just like yes, some people are still playing, but like the masses aren't. I played fantasy or FPL, and I got bored the shit out of it and stopped playing it. And I would have like $5,000 on the FPL between people, and it was just eventually got not entertaining.
It's just not.
And don't get me wrong, the FPL has found their niche and they've turned it into a great product. But Sorare is not that product. Sorare is trying to be something different, and Sorare needs people to be incentivized to buy cards. I personally do not think that like people that are playing Rivals, that are enjoying playing Rivals, are incentivized to go and buy cards currently.
They are definitely not right now incentivized.
And there's
absolutely not.
And there's also no like that I've seen at least. There's no tie-in that's like, wow, you're great at this. If you take this card and this card over to the pro division, you can win blank. Like there's no like carrot in the app I've seen.
You are absolutely right about that. But what's funny, I was thinking of our friend Skosmo here, who last week, bought a full Trabenspor stack for Rivals. This is before we realized that this is actually detrimental. No wonder he hasn't won yet. He won today. And he was like, oh, I can just play this in cap 240. And so there is kind of like there is an available path there that they were like, hey, you just won in Rivals. And if you had played this in Challenger Limited this last game week, you would have won a tier 3. Like that's the carrot.
And $5 if you put it in cap 240 limited or something, like.
Yeah. Well, and also like I think that Skosmo's right with Keith. He's at 2 wins.
It's a huge sweat he has.
I also, with that by the way, I know Skosmo's not at 2 wins. He just hasn't realized that it resets after the first win, and then you're really on a 1-win streak again. So Skosmo, let me know when you check that, and then realize that, and let me know if I'm right.
It's such a misnomer. I hate it. It drives me nuts.
Well, I just know. I'm pretty sure Skosmo's won 2 games, and that's all he's won. So I know that he's not on a 2-game streak.
So I want to say 2 things. I kind of want to like progress the topic a little bit. Something I really wanted to ask both of you guys. So one, it's gonna really suck at like 10-game streaks. Like it's like Sean Joe with 25 and the 10-gamer resets.
Right. Like you really have to win like 38 in a row. Not
like 25. That's just too much. But really. The second thing I wanted to ask both of you guys, and I think I kind of segued it, but all right. So in DraftKings, we have DraftKings Daily Fantasy over here. Really the only one that does soccer. FanDuel sucks. But you had the classic mode, which is our pro mode in Sorare, right? So classic mode over here in DFS, you play, I think it's 8. Pro, it's 5. Then they all of a sudden out of nowhere, like I think it was a super, Sean, you might remember this better than me. It was like a Super Bowl one year for NFL, and they do this single game mode. And it was very weird, like had defenders and things like that, things we don't use in DFS. Then all of a sudden they start moving that game mode, and it came to soccer. The first version, Laird, I don't know if you remember this or Sean does, was actually awesome because there was differentials. Like if a defender scored, it was worth more than if a midfielder scored, more if a forward, all this stuff. So it was a lot of strategy. And then it became more of, we'll call it the common game that they were trying to get people in on, like big EPL game, come play Manchester United versus Chelsea. Don't worry, no differentials, just a salary cap. You pick a captain, he gets a little bit more than everybody else, and you move on. Well, it became two separate games, both of like, I would say showdown, they call it showdown, it's actually like bigger draws. People find it easier to make a lineup than 8-person. So I'm asking you guys, I know that this is meant to as like onboarding people, but are we sure this isn't just going to become a second game on Sorare that people...
I'm convinced based on Sean's reward optimism that it's going to be a separate game mode.
People maybe just never want to move to pro, and they just go, that dealing with DNPs, like bleep that,
but
or dealing, you know.
Yeah. But as long as they fix the only playing
Leaderboards.
commons issue, but yeah.
But isn't that almost an I can't say the word, incentivization, and the thing I'm trying to say on like Sorare to go, okay, enough people love this mode and love this mode more than our old mode that we had for a while, that we actually are going to like influx a ton of resources because, hey, we didn't really know what we got here. Like, that's how I always took DraftKings, because like the Super Bowl just seemed like a money grab, and it was a terrible mode. It was like you had to play linebackers and defenders, and it's like, we don't ever deal with this in daily fantasy football. It's like Sean, is one of the best college football players in the world in DFS, and if you asked him to all of a sudden now figure out linebackers from USC, he'd be like, I don't know, I've only researched.
I mean, I'd be fine with it if they did it. If I was,
you would exploit it. Yes, yeah. I know this, but my point being is like it was almost like it felt like an afterthought on DraftKings, and then all of a sudden they were just like, they tried it out and they go, oh crap, like we've got something here. And I've been wondering if Sorare is going to do the same thing.
So I don't. We kind of just assume that that's what DraftKings thought. The whole like, oh yeah, this will just be like a way to get people, like they may have had that plan. I like fully believe that Sorare do not have that plan right now, but they may recognize that it's a game mode that people like, and that you can get to a position where you do have basically complementary games, or not even complementary in the sense that they both run at the same time. Yeah. Maybe you can't use, SO5 cards. I don't know what to call these regular pro competitions versus rivals yet. But I think it is very, very possible that they have, and I feel bad saying this, that they have like stumbled into a game mode that actually more people want to play, and they end up making that literally a side-by-side gameplay. Yeah.
Well, I think that there's also like the idea too that you could turn this into, like, I told Keith, like you could turn this into time slot games. And you could, instead of just like, you could have like a Rivals game mode, but have it like during the 10 a.m. Eastern time slot on Saturday, when like the EPL has like 8 games and there's like 15 overall games. You could have like a Rivals game mode that encompasses just that time slot. And you can play any players from any game within that time slot, but like you'll have lineups. So like you can pick and choose who you want to play and stuff like that. So I think that it's realistic. The difference between DraftKings with Showdown and Sorare with Rivals game mode is DraftKings is all about churning as much money as possible and getting as much rate as possible. So them doing Showdown slates gives them numerous other opportunities to generate rake, which is all they care about. Whereas like that's not as big of the idea of what Sorare is trying to do here. But, and I do want to address, a few people have mentioned this and stuff. They've said that it's brand new. We're 5 days in, give it time, see what happens. That is true, but you also have to like the time to like get people and like suck them in is a pretty quick time frame, right? Because if you give no prizes after like a month and you just don't really do anything, or like 2 months or 3 months, whatever time frame you want, Laird, that you think is a more reasonable frame, people are going to get bored with it. And you also have the situation where like if you are just not separating the elos and the only people at the top of the leaderboards are guys that do not have any cards, and people are having fun playing Rivals, they're gonna be like, why do I have cards? I would rather play this game mode than the pro game mode anyways, and having cards is a detriment to me.
I think the whole like people will get bored of it and I don't think this is actually the case, but that may be a feature and not a bug, that if the point of this game truly is onboarding, then it almost makes sense for you to get bored at some point so that you can go and play the real game.
Yeah, but the issue is like, I don't know if the real game is appealing enough to suck people in from Rivals into that.
You don't have to get all of them. Like fundamentally, there's no way you build a game and think 100% of the people who play Rivals are going to come play.
True.
Right.
But
well, and you could just, again, like Rivals could just be the simplistic way to play.
Right.
Also, so Limpy just brought this up. I'm going to say it. Limpy said, I get bored if I don't win rewards. A lot of people get bored if they don't win rewards. That is what is going to happen eventually with this game mode. And maybe you're right, Laird. Maybe the idea is that this game mode funnels people over to the pro. I just don't see that personally.
Yeah. Do you not see it because you think that's the most common sense thing, or do you not think that Sorare would consider that?
I just don't think it makes a lot of sense to me.
But you don't run Sorare. I
don't. If I did, there would have been different decisions made along the way.
Different podcasts.
Yes. Let's talk about some lineup construction. Yeah. Andy asks, full stacking versus mix and match creating narratives, specifically about Gator. Somebody said if it was up to Keith, he would just take 5 home team players, which is not the case.
I do normally, except for in AFCON. I think that one team's home, and then I realized after I submit, I'm like, oh wait, they just are in the home slot. They're not actually at home.
Yeah. Right. It feels weird to do this. Let's focus on the common game that like everybody has the same cards.
So can we actually say the reason why you should focus on the common game? Can we actually start that way?
Please.
Or like, let's start the conversation that way, because funny enough, I think the pro game, even if like you had like the separate, let's say in an ideal world, different leaderboards that all made sense. I actually think there's still like the pro game makes you make suboptimal decisions in terms of like a perfect lineup because of that 20% bonus. So you're just like, all right, I've got this fullback who's he's okay, but maybe I'm expecting like 45, 50 points from him, but I get 20% bonus. And then you're like, oh, that center back next to him has the same cap hit, and he's like locked in for 50. You're still almost every single time taking the 20% bonus because you're like thinking of the outlier outcome, like the outlier outcomes. You're like, oh, well, what if he gets the decisive? Then I'm going to hate myself that I didn't get that extra 20%. It's just like the same reason on like a rare plus type of lineup. We almost always want that second super rare, even if our second super rare is a piece of shit and we have like a really good rare. We're always like, I think I still should play that second super. It's the same deal. So I think the common versus common is just true. Like in the DFS world, we call it a cash game where you're making an optimal lineup. You're going, if all else, I always call it like, if it's a 1-to-1 own goal game and like, so nobody scores, like who made the best lineup? And like, that's like what we consider in the DFS world optimal. So I think in common, you get to do what the best lineup is. Whereas once you get pro, you get skewed because of the multipliers.
I think part of that also comes in with cap modes where you end up playing like a worse play just because it fits the cap better, and not fits better that because it gets you under 240, but it actually gets you at 240. Whereas like you have a better play and that leaves your team at 236 and you're like, I can't leave 4 points there. But
I mean, I literally did it in this game, in the Molly game. I told Keith beforehand, I have a Filet Sacco rare, and I didn't have a Hamari Traore rare. I'm like, hey, I could either go buy a Hamari Traore or just run Sacco, who's probably not that much worse, and get my 25%.
I have a Traore rare, and so that's why I decided not to play this match.
Yeah, but that's bad. That is a bad thing. A couple other discussions. Golden Goal brought up, would a new player move up to Sorare Pro if he doesn't get any rewards? Like, I even consider more arena tickets as a reward. I think arena tickets go a ways. Like, I personally right now would rather win arena tickets than limiteds, but that's me. Like, other people are going to want to win limiteds. But that's how you're going to suck people in, by winning something. Like, I have seen tweets, like, people are excited they're winning these limiteds, they're winning these mystery jerseys, and it's great. I think that's a fantastic thing. So, I mean, I definitely think that you have to hook the people in, and the way that you most likely are going to hook them in is by giving rewards of some sort to people. And like realistically, if whatever they want to do for leaderboards, like if you're at the top leaderboard after 1 month and you like won the leaderboard for the month, that's a pretty impressive feat, honestly, assuming they get rid of the common situation where it's like 2 different leaderboards. But like that's a damn impressive situation. Even commons, like if they separate the leaderboards and have an only common person, like if you win the common only leaderboard, like that's pretty cool. You don't have to give them much, but like let's say that person gets like 0.1 ETH. That person's going to be pretty damn pumped that they got 0.1.
How about an untrade? No, I want to say on line of construction, then we can like play. I was going to joke like an untradeable rare, but that's going to open up a completely different box that I don't want to go to.
Yeah. Even then, I think Sorare want people to win limiteds and rivals, move up to the pro game, and slowly move on to full stacks. But I guess if the rewards are that good, people might stick to rivals instead. That's okay. Like if the rewards are good enough and people are buying cards to play rivals,
correct.
It accomplishes the same
correct
goal. Like
I'm currently buying cards to play rivals. That only is going to last so long. And Jonathan said, did they even say there are going to be rewards? There's already rewards.
Seen them. We've seen rewards.
Yeah, they literally already are happening.
Yeah. People's already won jerseys. You know, there's going to be. They've already said they'll be experiencing.
That's
jersey.
Fine.
Hold on, jersey.
Yeah.
Jersey. But that's fine. Like people are, I told Laird this and I said this the other day, you don't need to have 100% chance at winning a Star Limited, but if you have a 1% chance at winning a Star Limited, but you might get 5 arena tickets, that's good. You're still going to sit there. And even if you win 5 arena tickets, you're like, yes, I can still move up more and go up the leaderboard more. Because the only way you can realistically go up the leaderboard is with arena tickets, which only really come from streaks or referring people right now.
I think that's like a big part of it is that for a lot of like new users that are coming in who are not used to only having card rewards be the reward, getting more arena tickets is a legitimate reward to them.
I legit, every time I've opened, I've had 2 loot boxes. Each time I've opened them, I wanted to hit 10 arena tickets or whatever the max arena tickets was. That's what I wanted to hit. And I got the minimum arena tickets, but I preferred that over doing like a 5 limited. Blue Tomatoes asked, would you stop playing Rivals if the rewards stay the same forever? If nothing changed from where it is today, I would not play Rivals again in the future.
Yeah, it definitely.
Keith and I sort of had similar ideas between each other on this, that like we kind of think that they're gonna give some things to people for Rivals, and like if you're not playing already and you're just sitting there, and you're gonna be at a massive disadvantage if
possibly,
but to add to that, you guys also think that you will get better prizes with higher elos.
Being at the top of the leaderboard, in theory, should
makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I want to point that out because it's not like everybody's going to get these great rewards. It's like fundamentally you need to be at the top of the leaderboard, and it's a cumulative leaderboard. So if you start now, you will have a leg up on people.
And I think Sorare has kind of shown their hand a little bit. Like you got like the main Sorare account tweeting out the top 10 of the leaderboard. So like that means like they're at least looking that it's there, you know.
You had Nicholas tweet, you're going to get something special with this.
Yeah, so they kind of shown their hand. But I mean, it only makes sense to like have people competing. But you know, I don't think that they need to give the best rewards right away early. I think you just give that little care like, oh my god, that guy got a Holland Limited. Okay,
so
like, let's see where this goes.
Yeah, I want to touch on this too. Michael Pennick just said, with the fairly significant dev resources put into Rivals for the past month, it seems quite a risk that it's built purely as a conversion to pro tool. No, perhaps they're hedging their bets. That's a lot of the reason why I believe that they're eventually going to give rewards of some type. I don't know how good or how not good they're going to be, but they have put a lot of resources to this, a lot. And that makes me think that it's a good shot that it becomes like a second game mode type of option.
I think that there is a possibility that they did not think about making the reward pools that big for Rivals and could see that people are really liking the game and change their mind and put them in.
And that's kind of what I was joking with the whole showdown on DraftKings. It's like all of a sudden, in the daily fantasy world, so they'll set these like the big prize pool, like the $1 million, the Millie Maker in NFL is like the most common DFS tournament out there. And sometimes, like, what Sean was a couple of years back, they did like the Micro Millionaire, where it was like only like $5 versus 20.
They do it. They do 5,
They've done
20, 100. They do it all.
And so they have data and stuff like that to decide like what the amount of entry should be. And very often they miss the mark and they have to open secondary ones. So now it's like, oh, the $5 million filled up. But now, hey, here's a $5 100,000 to go ahead and fill in. So, you know, you have these things in mind, and then you release it and you go, oh crap, like this is
a thing.
This is a thing. I want to go on Nanzo's thing because I thought we were going to go to line construction. We didn't. So I need to toss this idea. I need to toss this idea about you guys because he put what I've kind of thought is a progression. So we should be able to buy arena tickets with coins. So here's what like I wonder, Sean, I'm going to say mine, then you can go.
Hey.
Essentially, is there any, this is kind of like how I was wondering if like progression could actually work in this. Like you win arena matches, you get your loot boxes. Eventually, you get you win a limited, or you have a chance to win a couple limiteds. You don't have a full team yet. Maybe it's incentivizing you to buy like a $1 card on the pro side, not to all of a sudden be competing in All-Star, competing in 240, but going, oh look, those coins right there at that bottom of that prize structure. I could win 200 coins, and 200 coins is 2 arena tickets. So now I'll come back over here, keep going better. Oh man, I just won a star limited. Holy crap. Now I can not only play this game over here, but now I could actually be competitive. Maybe I want to put $25 in and go ahead. I've got this Holland now. Like this seems like really fun. Maybe I go. So I'm wondering if like I think the natural progression is that you can do coins and eventually maybe cash to buy arena tickets. And not only is that a revenue generator to replace fitness, right? But to all of a sudden you get this back and forth with people that they see how they can improve their rivals on the pro side and vice versa. I think like that's a lot to comprehend on their side and to get all the mechanics right. But you know, it's a good problem for them to have.
No, that's exactly where I was going. Mike of Pompeii said it, $199 for 10 arena tickets. Get a bunch of microtransactions going. If because you can't actually like play entry fees to get into contests, but you can pay microtransactions like that to get tickets, and that is fun. And that is be fun.
I will say this: Charlie's comment is definitely Sean's, it's definitely mine. Laird's not there yet, but in a week he might be, about just people buying bundles of arena tickets. It's fun to play in the arenas, man. It really is. Like I will tell you the one thing I think that might need to be fixed. I don't get any enjoyment out of the friends part. Like even if I'm up against Sean, I could care less. Like it's giving me nothing. But like the arena matchup, like I care about, but I don't even look through the rest.
I think the buying arena tickets starts to get too close to DFS and gambling. Not to say they can't ever do it, but I think it's
maybe. But if you can win them too, like you don't have to pay for them. You can just win them and get them via coins and stuff.
I think they will always be able to. You will always be able to win them. I just don't.
So maybe it's just a coin.
How it's any different because buying arena tickets.
Because the way that kind of is working now is like a phone game where you get every 12 hours you redeem an arena ticket, but like if you want more, you could get more. Like type of like lives in a video game on a phone that people like Candy Crush and stuff.
I think it's absolutely what they should do. I just think it just fundamentally seems too close to literally DFS entry fees.
So I just thought this thought too. I hadn't thought this at all. But it's essentially if they actually do separate the contest well, and like let's say you reach a certain milestone on the common side, and you've only been playing common matchups, it's like milestone alert. Win your first pro arena match to get the new sets of loot boxes. Let's say that you're at like the 25 in a row on the common side. You're like, this is freaking impossible. But hey, on the pro, if I buy some pro cards now, I have a new set of loot boxes to advance up that leaderboard.
Yeah, but the same point goes with like you have to have segmented if you're going to do something like that, because you can't just have someone walking with like a.
I think the reality, like all of us are pointing out, and I'm assuming that they know, is that the whole common and pro thing is an actual problem. I think that's almost too.
And I hope that everyone can tell. Like, I'm legit really excited about this. I know Keith is legit really excited about this. Laird sucks, but I mean, he seems more excited than
I'm excited that you guys are excited.
But no, but that's true. I'm excited that I have actually been around people in the Sorare industry right now for the last week, and most everybody is enjoying this, having fun, and is positive about it. And that's a big thing.
So I hope that this is okay for me to say, Sean. And if it's not, shit happens. But Sean has been down on Sorare. And all of a sudden Rivals came and Sean's like, oh, and like we have some mutual friends who we would say behind your back, we're like, Sean's freaking back. Like
Sean's
excited.
buying limited cards.
I buy limited cards.
There's nothing else you need to say.
Actually, hilariously, I know you guys have been talking about this and like saying how like the buy nows are like 20 times more than the other ones. I think I accidentally bought one of those the other day.
Of course you did.
Rivals, because I was playing poker and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna buy this card, and I bought it, and then I'm like, oh, I probably should have checked the market first to see if it was there for cheaper. It would be the this pissed me off too because
look at all these limited cards.
It was
summer rewards, but there's plenty of all those ones that
go check Dilrosin. It was that card. It was Dilrosin.
Also,
Sorare Holland, you're lucky because you beat me. You're one of like the only 2 people that beat me. Okay, so it wasn't that bad. Look at this. I didn't screw it up. Okay,
because of you, this guy had to pay 13.
Yeah. How about that dude? But anyways, so I was originally going to play Weefer and Dilrosin, and then I changed my lineup, so I would have beat you had I not. Because Sorare Holland tweeted that he beat me, and I was so pissed off about that game because I have Weefer unique, but my lineup didn't want to play. I didn't want to play Dilrosin, and then he scored like 10 minutes, and I'm like, damn it. And then Weefer, I was sitting there watching, and I was messaging Keith. I'm like, well, Weefer has 40 AA at the 6-minute mark. I'm like, this wasn't a great decision. I'm like, yeah, this 2v2, I'm down 100 after 5 minutes. That's probably not ideal.
Well said by Nanza too. Rivals halted the Twitter bitching for a week. That's success.
Yeah, see, people don't even know I'm down because I don't sit there and whine and complain about everything.
No, but I mean that in the nicest way, by the way. But like, you know, Sean's obviously a huge gallery. It's been a tough time, and like Rivals, like Sean's like,
it's not even that. I was just like, I was just bored. I was just like, DNPs aren't fun. The rewards are not the best. The game mode has its flaws that don't really get fixed. So it's just like, but this, like, I really like this game mode. I think there's a lot of interest with it. It removes from me the worst part of Sorare, which is DNPs. It removes it effectively.
And here we go. Here's my attempt at a segue. And Sean, you really enjoy the lineup construction.
I do enjoy the lineup construction. That is true.
Way to go, Keith. Getting us
right. And he just shuts it down. He's like, and I'm good.
It's good, yeah.
No, I mean, I agree. I enjoy the lineup construction.
Sean, who are the most important players in the lineup construction process?
The best plays in the game, Laird.
And who are those players?
It depends based on the game, Laird.
Keith, how do you make a lineup?
You just say the same thing.
Sean's like, I'm not going to play this podcast thing for you guys at all.
So I am going to get for something here because Daniel kind of brought this up. He said, how do they decide the cap for each game? So
good question.
There are very, very, very few times, and maybe I'm only have a short-term memory here of all these AFCON games I'm playing, but it feels like you generally can play, if not 5 guys you want, 4 guys you want. Like the cap is not that restrictive. The Bayern Munich match last week, Sean, you made the argument of why you should fade Harry Kane.
It was the right argument.
Right. I told Keith, and I
sent it to him. Yeah.
But it was like the classic, like that's when I was like, this is literally DFS lineup building.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because as you guys know, like Kane is usually not the optimal play based off of like salary cap. And that's what it came down to, that last week, if you played Kane, you were not playing basically 2 of the very obvious optimal.
Or options. You had to play like Thomas Miller, who's
right.
No, you couldn't
2 years ago.
You had to play
even put Miller.
You had to play someone there. So yeah, it was basically you either play 4 elite plays or you play 3 elite plays, and the answer is always going to be 4.
Right.
So, but you had to sacrifice Kane in that situation.
Right.
And I'll say this too: what we've seen like in the beta and just a little bit this weekend is It does change a little bit, but like when you get these dominant teams that have all their starters averaging 60, like lineups getting hairy. So like Liverpool slates oftentimes suck, City slates oftentimes suck, and it's not like their fault, like the mechanics. It's just that TAA has 72, Virgil has 68, Salah's on 65, and you're like, okay, I want to play those three, and you're like, all right, well, you can go play the opposing goalie and the opposing left back that's averaged 26 over his last 15. So you got to start making some calls. And a lot of times, I'm actually going to say negative about line construction, but I overall really like it. A lot of times what it ends up being, and we've seen this in DFS too on these showdowns, is you kind of just have to get lucky with you're choosing between Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott or Curtis Jones and Endo. And you're just like, Curtis Jones is going to get a little bit more forward. Endo's a little bit more holding. So I'll go Curtis Jones. And then Endo, taps the ball to Salah, who does a 40-yard run, gets the assist. And you're like, all right, well, that's stupid. And it just kind of goes that way. So, the optimal build kind of becomes, well, there's two optimals. And unfortunately, there was no really good, way to decide between the two. And just the results were just a coin flip, and hopefully you got heads.
Yeah, Surface just said the Bayern you could actually play 5 elite plays because Delict. Correct.
Your lineup was elite, but it was probably the
same lineup Surface probably played. There was one lineup that was by far better than every other lineup, and it was I can even remember that's how good the lineup was. It was Neuer, Delict,
Musiala,
Kimmich, and Sane. That was the lineup.
But you had to drop Musiala or Sane if you were going to do Kane
or Kimmich. Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, typically it is prohibitive, but that's fine. Like it being a little prohibitive makes you think and do different things.
I totally agree with that. I just think it's not so restrictive where you're like, I can't play Kimmich and Kane or Kimmich and
the times where it's restrictive. The times where it's not restrictive is when some random dude plays that has a L15 of 30 that's really a 60 player. That's when it's not restrictive.
I feel like it's every AFCON slate.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but international slates are always going to be something like that because players that are playing for their national team are Kessie's L15 is 34 because he just didn't play much.
This is exactly the question I wanted to get to today. In that game, why would you fade Harry Kane? Which, by the way, all three of us were he's the easiest fade.
So basically, you had to play. If you played what I just said, you got effectively 5 elite plays. If you played Harry Kane, you had to give up one of Kimmich. You had to give up 2 of Kimmich, Musiala, Sane for Kane and
Limer or something like that.
No, not even. You had to play someone.
Not even Limer. I didn't play it, but I was naming guys I knew in the lineup.
You had to play someone on the other team. So
I think you had to play someone on the other team.
So basically, if you're looking at if I'm looking at, so I had to play. You had to go Kane and someone on the team that they shit on 4-1 or whatever the score was. It was 3-0 against Hoffenheim. So you either had to play Kane and someone on Hoffenheim, or you'd play Leroy Sané and Kimmich.
And also not someone great on Hoffenheim either.
Yeah,
right, crap.
And
it wasn't
also,
for marriage.
And also, Kane isn't really better than Sané anyways.
Right. Well,
you're basically making a 2v2 where the side of the 2v2 to play Kane is 15 points worse on average than the side to play not Kane.
So here's another thing with the Kane thing, and Sean and I just had this talking on the Tunisia match. Okay, so you had to. Welcome to Sorare, baby. But we were chatting on the center backs, and there was one guy.
Oh, Mariah.
Did he play in Qatar or something? He played in a lower league. But the dude, you look through, and it's he's got 6 goals this year. He takes random PKs as a center back, but the other guy plays in Lagoon. Doesn't do anything special, but you go, okay, well, that guy probably scores a little bit better in this setting. But Sean and I are look, I think we both think from an average score that Lorient guy was the right play. But we're also we might only give up 4 points of average, but you're gaining so much more decisive upside. So I think sometimes on this too is you're look, I don't know the things, but I'm assuming Kimmich and Sane drop hundreds more often than Kane do.
Yeah.
Because they get A, not really. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm not that
matter. You're not really low. You don't necessarily need 100. You just need the best 2 scores.
But you want to open up the upside. That's kind of where I'm more going is sometimes you're picking a play. You might not pick the single best play, but depending on the lineup build, you might need to pick the biggest upside, especially if things are close.
certain situations for sure. Blue Tomatoes asked, how do you know if it's better to fade one elite player or play one from the other team?
You build 1,000 lineups, and you just with time, you kind of know. Like I think that's just an experience thing.
Or in a more simple perspective, math. You just look at it and be like, this guy's going to average 60, this guy's going to average 67, this guy's going to average 68, this guy's going to average 45, and then you see like where things line up and be like, this side is significantly worse because of this.
Surface said he played Neuer, Delict, Musiala, Kane, and Kimmich. So it's literally just a 1v1.
It might have been a different game that we were looking at that from.
It was definitely that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely that one. I just didn't play it.
I mean, if I could go through the UI and figure it out, I would, but I can't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the point it's a better conversation if it doesn't work. That like that type of situation where you fade Kane or that you play Kane, who you just know like almost everybody's going to have, but you go, all right, I know my opponent. Likely, if we had like ownership percentages, Kane was probably like 80% of arena matches took Kane, and you go, okay, there's a really good chance that he has it. And I know the build if he has Kane and what he's going to do, but I think the build, if I run a optimal type of thing, I know that the other build is going to beat this one more often. You do that, but especially knowing what your opponent's going to do.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what we do on head-to-head and DFS too.
So Nanzo said from the beta, selecting matches to play based on your likely rival is more important than lineup construction. That's where it differs from DFS. That is one of the most important things in DFS.
It's literally like as I'm not as high a stake player as Sean. Like I normally cap out in like the $215 head-to-heads, but like specific people, and like I'll like literally look at matches and I go, I know this guy, I know what he's gonna play. It's a freaking terrible play. Here's my $200. Let's go. Like I literally have specific matches where I know, because the soccer community in DFS is really small. It's like I know, especially on the high end, like what certain guys are doing. Like you just know like a Kane. Like there's no way he's fading Kane. Kane's cap today is way too high. Yeah. I think at best he's going to get a goal. I can chase him with some peripheral scoring, that type of thing.
Everybody in DFS has their tendencies, and you have a pretty good idea of what their tendencies are going to be and who they're going to play. So it can matter. Blue Tomatoes asked, do you think the game mode will attract a lot more DFS players? I don't think Sorare is going to attract people until prices go back up.
Well, no, can I be honest with you? The only way you're attracting DFS players on this mode is if we can bet.
Yeah. If you can bet,
DFS is gambling. Like
yes, DFS is gambling. If you can't bet, people aren't going to come. Like the stakes that are being played on Sorare currently would not interest most relevant DFS players.
Yeah. So I don't want to focus on the betting part. It's what you can win. Like that. Right. Like the prizes need to be better.
No. If you could stake a unique or something like that, you go like I'm staking my 1 ETH card to your 1 ETH card. That would like appeal to DFS people if they could do that, but like we're not there.
Well, you guys are both familiar with soccer. Silky was very interested in Sorare, but he had a bunch of ETH and just thought it was better to hold ETH than come into Sorare. But like he was very interested in Sorare, and multiple times, like we've had multiple conversations at multiple different time frames about coming onto the platform. For those of you guys that are not aware, he's like one of the biggest. I'm pretty much retired. I don't play DFS soccer at all anymore. I haven't played in a year and a half.
Smart man.
Or whatever. I just don't play anymore. Sorare took over a lot of my time, and then I don't really play anymore. But he is one of the top two. I'm just gonna say top two, since two of the top three are just the same person probably. So he's like one of the top two players in DFS that would play 30, 50K a slate in DFS. And he was very interested in Sorare. It just never really worked. If Sorare became a platform where you could bet and you were playing for money and it was like head-to-heads and tournaments and there was actual betting involved, he would be on the platform very quickly with a shitload of money.
Yeah. I'll tell you too, I have a very good friend that will remain nameless on this show that literally has been on Sorare for a while. And he is a full-time DFS and prop better. And he recently, Sorare takes up too much time for what the returns are, that he needs more time to be on prop bets and DFS. It's a time allocation thing for him. So He's had to move away. And he said, I'm so happy to be back if the stakes get higher.
Yeah.
But it's a stake in time thing. So I think for the people that asking about DFS, I think that's where it's at. A lot of these DFS guys, you literally, like Sean said, most professional, are minimum couple $1,000s a slate, up to, like Sean said, nosebleed slates of like 50K, but plenty of professional guys are in like the $2,000 to $5,000 range of slate.
From when I used to play, I was playing $5,000 to $10,000 a slate back when I was playing legitimately, I would say, and actually cared about it. So and there's definitely people that are higher than me. There's people that are lower than me too that would come over, but again, they need to come over. They need to see the stakes be relevant enough, but it's probably not at that stage. I also here's the thing. I don't know if Sorare ever goes the gambling route, because I just think the gambling route's really difficult because every single country has a different gambling legislation, and it's just really difficult to make that work. So I don't think they are going to go that route, but who knows? I mean, they could, but I just don't really see it happening.
So, Laird, I want to make a line of construction point that I'm curious on both of you all. What is this is probably a loaded question. What's the best position to fade the let's just call it the top play, for lack of a better term, or the optimal play? What's the best position to fade the top play in?
Always the goal dependent striker.
That's what I was gonna say, the forward, yeah.
I was gonna go goalkeeper.
Oh well, I mean,
well, no, I say so. The reason I want to, oh come on, Sean.
Well, there's no way that you said fade the best play. The goalie's never.
Well, sorry, I meant okay. See, terrible question. This is why
you should have saw the question he fired yesterday. That was so stupid, Laird. I'll leave it at that.
Hold on. Anyhow,
verify.
Anyhow, it's been a long day. No, I say that because I think a lot of people, though, when they're building a Rivals on it, the first thing that they do is just select the favorite goalkeeper. Because the way the UI comes, the first thing you select is goalkeeper normally, because it's far left. And I know I do it. I just do it habitually, and I'll just select the favorite goalkeeper, home goalkeeper, of course. But select the goalkeeper, fill in the rest of my lineup, and then if I'm short somebody I want to do, the first thing I do is I go to the goalkeeper spot and I experiment with the cheaper keeper and see if that opens up more spots.
I think you still start your build with the favored keeper.
That's what I'm saying. You start there.
You always want that one if you can have it.
But I'm saying when I'm playing with that lineup, I did my other 4 and now I'm over 12. Yeah. The first thing I do is actually go to that goalkeeper slot, see if that happens to be 8 to 10 different. Because you gotta think from a range of outcomes, probably most goalkeepers cap out at 75, 80. And then you still have that chance on the dog keeper, whereas plus 1,000 dog, that striker's not dropping 80 most likely.
The issue is
the reason. Sorry, Sean. I'm going to answer this for you. The reason why Sean doesn't have to go in and take out the goal dependent striker is because it's never in his lineup anyway.
No, they are.
Excuse me. He pulled. You're welcome, Sean, for your 9 a.m. You wanted Sean. I was floored, Laird. He was at forward. You wanted. I don't know the guy's name. You were playing the striker, and I told you no. This Aziz guy probably has set pieces, and you switched.
This is the Mozambique one this morning, Tunisia.
No. Before that, the more degenerate.
No, I didn't really have a
Toyota or something. You had the striker.
The first one of the day, I'm like, "Yo, Keith, what makes the most sense?" And then I'm like, "What about this?" And he's like, "Yeah, that makes sense." I'm like, "All right, done." And that was the first one.
I don't know. You said to me, I should have played the goal dependent striker. I'm like, Sean, how dare you say a goal dependent striker in a lineup? That is so anti-PSU brand.
If Harry Kane's in my lineup and I have Bayern's a 4-goal favorite, I have no problem playing him. I would have the ones that I've lost have been the slates that I have lost was the Feyenoord slate, because I didn't have Jimenez and he scored shitty like he usually does. Yeah. And the reason I lost wasn't because I didn't have him because he sucks. It was because I didn't have Weefrey. But then I also lost the PSV slate because I didn't have De Jong. I had Bakayoko, and De Jong smashed it. So that's why I didn't have it. But anyways, I want to go back to Andy Black discussing earlier.
I want to come back to this surface one, but where's
okay, yeah. So Andy Black asked earlier about stacking versus not stacking. So the times where you really don't stack and you probably are willing to go to opposite sides are if the game is a relatively close game and or there's like alphas on the other side per se. So like I'll use MLS as an example because MLS is a lot more like even than some of these other leagues. But like you have Carlos Gil versus Minnesota and Reynoso. Well, you probably want to play both of them because they're both going to be really strong, which then luckily because you do that, it removes goalie a little bit. Because like in the goalie, like if you're playing a lineup where you have like 5 guys on one team and then you have the goalie on the other team, like it doesn't make as much sense a lot of the time. But so like a lot of the time where you'll be playing guys from both teams is when the match is relatively close or there are chances for the other team. If you have PSG and they're a 4-goal favorite against someone, you really do not want anyone on that other team. And if you do, it's probably like a center back or something, and you're hoping that they get like a goal line clearance or something. And then another fun part of the strategical options with this game mode that I kind of like too. One, you have subs. You can make different subs that come in and affect things. But the other part that I really like is the tactics. Like you can pick lineups. And so like it was the Galatasaray slate yesterday, I think. You could put Lucas Torreira in your lineup. And by putting him in your lineup over, let's say, Mertens, your duels 1 is probably going to go up by like 5. So like you could have a situation where like you are picking your strategies and you might have a 1v1 of like 2 different guys, but because you pick one versus the other, it could make your team really strong in the tactics department. And the tactics matter a lot. Like if you are getting your tactics wrong, you are probably going to not do very well. Whereas if you get your tactics right, that is a big benefit for the individual game that you're on.
So I think that's literally the most ignored advantage that you can have in situations where you're building a lineup and you have 2 guys and you're like, I don't know which one to play. And they both average about the same, but one of them has a decent AA because of duels 1 and the other one does it because of a non-tactic AA, whatever it is. You play the one that helps you with the tactic. Like the tactic can help you figure out these 50-50 situations. Like,
and some of the matchups, like the tactics, like like the Bayern slate, you literally just play tiki-taka because you're just going to guarantee it. Like you're going to get the passing. Or like there's some slates where like you look at the 4 tactics, one of the tactics is like locked in if you play the correct options. Like you're going to get it. Whereas like that the first one we played, the Trabzonspor one, we actually discussed, and Keith and I were talking about it. Every option kind of sucked. They were all very shit at everything.
Yeah.
It was just that game. It was just a weird game. But anyways, shots. It's like, well, shots are really high variance because you just like might not put shots.
It's shots on target too. It's not shots.
Sorry, shots on target. But like, also, like it only takes 2 to get the lower level and 3 to get the second level.
Sure.
So like it's pretty realistic that you could just like, especially with like Onawachi, right? Be like, all right, he's got to win a corner and put a weak shot on net from like 10 yards. And he did. I think he put like 2 weak headers on net off set pieces. But the discussion was basically like, well, they're not very good at duels. They're not very good at passing, so that's not going to happen. They're not good at one contest because I'm playing
whatever the hell one contest.
He ain't dribbling anyone.
Okay.
And then you're like, all right, well, shots are higher variance, but they could actually hit.
Yeah, I love that. To go back to the goal-dependent striker thing, Blue Tomato said, why not take the goal-dependent forward from the worst team? Because the defender should get a lot of negative points from the goals conceded. Like
I have my
you
answer
really don't
right
want
away,
either of them.
You don't want either of them, correct?
But you're also taking away a forward. If you have a huge favorite, you're taking away a forward spot, and that's if you have a minus.
You could play 2, I guess. But
but like, let's just talk about the Bayern Munich. All of a sudden, now let's say that it did work. You could have played Keane and Sané. Now you can only play 1 because I'm wasting it away on this.
Yeah,
I'd probably rather
also
just take a chance at a.
It depends on the slate. It depends on the slate what you have to give up because like sometimes the goal dependent striker on the other team is like 5 points difference, and the center back on the other team is like 30 points different.
Yeah,
and you have to do something differently from
that perspective. Or you just need to look for too, like we probably don't have time to discuss too much, but like the cap hits. Like sometimes you just have a random guy that's on 25 that's he's on the favorite team, or you just need somebody cheap and he just happens to be on the other team. And sometimes you just take the guy because the expectation, if his cap hits 25 and he starts the game with 35, the expectation is he's going to outperform that to an extent. So sometimes it's just if the game, you know, in DFS, we have this happen every once in a while where there'll be a surprise fullback or a guy that's been gone that ends up being on set pieces and he's minimum price. That changes the slate complexion completely because DraftKings, when they made the pricing, didn't expect the guy to be in, and now you can play anybody, you know. So like that, a lot of times these slates you might have one strategy, but you have to pay attention to what's going on because, you know, let's just say that there's a, you know, let's just like use Neymar when he's back. Let's say he's somewhere else and Neymar is sitting on a 25. That changes the whole slate. Correct. If you get one of the best plays on minimum cap charge.
Yeah, and those are like slates that like you really have to pick and choose your battles with it. So, and it's like that goes to the discussion. I wouldn't say I choose the tactic I want to play. I have the tactic in mind as I'm building the line.
Yeah, let's be real. There's really two good tactics, and then there's just one.
Two tactics that you're playing, and if you're not playing them, you're making mistakes most of the time, and that's the duels, whatever it is, G-Gen pressing or whatever.
Whoa! You're supposed to put the Patreon link for this, Sean.
Oh my God. and then ticky tack. Those are typically the two that are like the two you're playing most of the time. But
you must not play much Liga MX, Sean.
No, I do not play much Liga MX.
Park the Bus City, man.
Red cards, or why is Basuma subbing at 58 minutes? What is up with that? If he got hurt, that's going to be depressing if he got hurt because that takes away my unique. That is not the person I would expect to come off the field, so I'm going to assume he got hurt. We'll see how that goes the rest of the game. Yeah, Blue Tomato says
there's your Traore goal, Laird. So Sean, in answer to our earlier discussion, it did matter.
What?
Traore is the one that scored.
Traore,
we said.
I haven't seen a goal yet.
You know, down here in Florida, we get a little bit quicker than you guys that are freezing.
Well, that's not good then. That means I'm going to lose, Keith.
Sean's also a bad loser like myself.
No, actually, I'm still ahead. The guy currently has the goal from Traore, and I'm still up by 15. So
though on that question about like do you choose your players or your tactics, I go ahead and try to put the best lineup together. Like I will say this: if you know you're on a City slate, or you know if you're on like a Barcelona slate, like teams that pass the shit out of the ball, like you're going into it knowing you're going to be playing tiki taka, and you probably need to like influence your decisions based on who you know gets the most passes to maximize that plus 40. Like if you play a City slate and like you're playing fullback, fullbacks pass a lot too, but like let's just say that you're loading up on goal scorers, like you go Grealish, Haaland, Doku for tiki taka, you might be actually giving away points.
No,
if you don't get the goals.
You're probably in that line
because you want Rodri, you want center backs,
like
that type of thing. Because that I will say the one thing that's the most surprising about Rivals to me is you sit there and you like look at your opponent and you're like I just did this before the Traore goal. I'm like, how am I down 35? We had a 1v1, but his 1v1 guy had like 6 duels won. He was only 5 points ahead of Traore, but he had like 6 duels, and I'm sitting on plus 10, and he was already up, and not only up that point, but he was up a full extra level of the bonus.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, so it looks like I'm getting washed. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting destroyed.
Yeah.
But in actuality, we were really close. He just happened to have the right guy that matched his tactic better than I did.
Yeah, like currently, so like right now I'm up 16, but we are both one off on duels 1 from the first level of the bonus. If I get the first level of the bonus, he somehow gets the third. That's 30 points. It's huge. It's really difficult to make it up. You're talking a full decisive from someone. So it's really difficult to go. Yeah. So everyone's talking like different things. Like it was mentioned that if you have Doku, you might want to go one contest because he's just going to win a lot of contests.
Or duels,
the issue
we don't know what a contest is.
No, it's duels 1 basically, but only dribbling.
So
basically, like what I would say is I would just play duels because then I get
duels.
Other people to produce instead of just Doku. And Surface said all out attack is also often very good if you don't have the passers. And Nanzo also said like it's very true. Like if you're playing like PSG, you might not have guys doing a bunch of other stuff. So like them actually like getting shots might be the most logical thing. But also, like if you're playing like Dembele and Mbappe, they're both going to be very good at duels because they run by people.
It's really funny because the two of them, and they were basically the top of the leaderboard in the beta for the whole time. Like what Surface says, if you don't have the heavy passers, but we spend so much time talking about how making common lineups is how you should play. So we all have the heavy passers. We have whoever we want to play.
Yeah, everybody
actually those guys play with their cards. And so they were like, well, if I don't have, whoever, and I'm always amazed when somebody comes along that those guys don't have. But if there's a chance and they're like, oh, I don't have this guy, so I'm not going to play that tactic. But the way the game is built right now, you should just play commons.
No, but that's the problem is you can't play commons if you have the cards.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Right.
So you have to pick.
Or you just don't play that match. You just don't play that match.
Correct. But like a lot of people have a lot of cards, they just like can't play matches.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Well, I will say on that note though too, is a lot of people have a lot of cards, but you can also still look at that slate. I actually only have one card of relevance, and I don't even actually need him. There's also a good common choice, and just avoid your rare card, and you can stay in the common arena. So
yeah, I played the Molly slate, and I bought a couple limiteds because I have Basuma. I have Basuma unique, and Basuma was by far the best play on the slate. So I was like, well, I definitely am going to have a better lineup than literally anyone else can put out there because of having Basuma. And I'm probably still going to lose.
Hence the tilt when Basuma subbed at 58 without a decisive.
How are you subbing Basuma out? Like, that's your best player by a mile.
You need to go in the AFCON chat and go, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. Surface, what level are you at? What's your rep right now? And Nanza, what's your rep? What are you guys at right now?
Maybe you need to be their friend, Sean.
Nanza's at 337 and Surface is at 209.
Okay. Wow.
Look at Nanza waxing us.
Nanza's smashing it.
Shocking. Yeah, I might just take him off. I might stop following him. He doesn't stay on this leaderboard.
Laird wants to move me to the top. That's just how it is. No, but like that's the issue is Nanzo has a better gallery, I would say, than like Surface and I. Like he has a lot more coverage than what we have, so it makes more sense. But I did also notice Nanzo was buying limiteds out there as well. Like I noticed that he was definitely buying limiteds at times.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's not playing any common lineups.
Is this Nanzo's thing? But yeah, but like this is interesting. Like you look like I did notice this is something that I noticed that it is more difficult for people to have a lot of cards in some games. Like you just realistically can't. Like you see, like he has in Serie A, like you literally played a goalie that wasn't playing because I'm pretty sure Okoye is. I don't know what Nanza's doing, but Nanza won. So
what if it's funny that the people buying cards are like the same people already with a ton of pro cards. So like maybe that was actually the sick twisted goal. We're telling them they're screwed up and they're like, yeah, PSU is loading up unlimited, Nanza's loading up unlimited, Surface is loading up unlimiteds. And you're buying like the $9 to $11 limiteds where the guy at the bar that they're trying to onboard, he's looking, all right, 62 cents. I might be able to swing that. Like the new guy, like when I was first on the platform, I wasn't looking at expensive card. I was looking at the cheap ass cards. Like what's the cheapest way I can get in this thing? Whereas, again, you're just sitting there and going, oh, this is only $9.
Right. How much does it cost to get my lineup better? $3. I'll do it.
By the way, I've just lost because Sinioko scored.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you.
And Doombia got an assist, Keith. Doombia got the assist.
Is that the dude I was mentioning? Yeah, the dude I said that we should swap out.
Were discussing.
Yeah.
So I don't really think I can win it all. So unfortunately, I'm taking my L here.
Cosmo was wondering if you sell a pro card during a match.
I've debated it. I will have that test by next week, but I didn't want to do it because
let's do this. I'll sell one of my cards right now. Someone come buy it for more than I paid for it, and then
why don't you just go offer to a bot? Take the haircut.
I don't know how to offer.
Pretend you have your college cut.
Do I look like
big old fro? You need to take the haircut.
I was gonna say, do you think Sean has ever tried to sell a card to a bot? Get out.
He doesn't even know.
No, I have no idea how to sell the bot.
It's a great.
No, I said, Keith, I'm gonna list one of my cards in this lineup that is double the price of what I paid. You come buy it, and then we'll see.
And tomorrow's show will be how to double your money playing Rivals.
Yeah.
By the way, I should know as we're about to go, Laird, you mentioned, I think it was on Off Topic, you're like, I had a friend that mentioned, what about like if I sweep the floor of the cheap limited cards before a match? That was me. I don't think you outed me. I think I'm not going to out him. That was me looking for an edge, realizing that grinding 50 cents per card was probably not the best use of that.
Yeah.
Golden Goal has answered the question.
Well, the card is listed, but it's not sold.
Yeah.
Sean, go buy that card that Golden Goal posted.
No.
But yeah, we do know the lister play does not apply to Rivals. So.
I'm supposed to be selling a card for double what I paid. I'm supposed to be doing it later.
On the instant buy. Yeah. Well, we'll try that next time. So
Keith,
we're
are you
going
going to
go
win your
down.
Molly contest here?
What's that?
Okay, good. So I'm still ahead of Keith. That's what matters.
Thank you to everyone for joining. I feel like there's still a lot of questions that can be answered. So if anyone has those, feel free to leave them in the comments below the video, and we can get to them. You can reach out to me at Andrew M. Laird on Twitter, and we'll answer those, because this is far from the last Rivals conversation we're going to have, because we also have no idea what's in the future. And once we find out some more details, we'll talk about those too. So everyone, thank you very much. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny, and good luck in the arena.